The justification for slowing down, becoming more deliberate, becoming more focused is single. And it's this. If you really believe that a few things are exceptionally valuable and most other things are noise, then you will automatically, naturally start to change your behavior. It's about what matters most to you in life. It's not just about less, it's about essential things, essential relationships, essential living. Most of the stuff that's going on is not vital. It's a trivial many versus the vital few.
We sometimes forget that we have a choice. We make decisions impulsively, say yes before we think it through, and burden ourselves with commitment. The end result, we feel overworked, overwhelmed, and stretched too thin. Greg McKeown is the author of the New York Times bestselling book, Essentialism: The Disciplined Pursuit of Less. In the book, Greg describes an approach similar to minimalism that gets us to take stock of our lives and ask the right questions about where we're spending our time, energy, and effort. He first started thinking about these ideas when he noticed his priorities in life had shifted, seemingly without his control.
One of the experiences that led me to really focus on this subject in this book was that, I got an email from my colleague at the time said, look, Friday would be a very bad time for your wife to have a baby because I need you to be at this client meeting between 1 and 2. And I'm sure they were joking, and yet somehow I took it as a responsibility, a burden. I got to navigate this, balance this. Friday comes along, that is when we're in the hospital. My wife's just had our daughter. Instead of being focused, I allow another passion, another interest to confuse it. And so I go, to my shame, to the meeting. And even if some great thing had come from that meeting, which in fact it didn't, surely and clearly I made a fool's bargain. What I learned from that lesson is the simplest idea, which is if you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. That idea of heightened awareness of what the priority is and making sure that we aren't just busy pursuing lots of things, but that we are creating space to actually pause and discern and make sure that we're sleeping enough so that our discernment is intact, so that we can keep on figuring out what is the most important contribution I can make. And so that's what I'm saying. I say there's an inherent trade-off. When people are just, I'm so interested in this, I'm so passionate, I'm going to do more of everything. Yeah, there's an advantage to that for a time, perhaps. But you're giving up something along the way as well. And you have to be careful about what you're giving up. Because otherwise you wake up one day and you say, my goodness, I've done all these different things, but I basically lost my way. I don't know what it is anymore that I want to do. And you're so consumed, and you've been so consumed, and this happens for years for people's lives, and then they wait, why am I even doing this? And they got disconnected.
Finding what is essential to our lives is becoming more and more difficult as our world has become more distracting. The tools that we use to be productive can just as easily be used to pacify us. And when we travel with them 24/7, bringing them into bed with us, the truly important things can get lost with the non-essential. And in many ways, this behavior is encouraged. Busyness has become a badge of honor. When I look at our culture, I would say in America, but I'm sure it's spread pretty far, there is this work hard, hustle, grind it out busyness that is promoted. How do you view our hustle culture today? And is that something that, as you would describe it?
When I first came to America, I would ask people how they are. And we're talking almost 20 years ago. And they would say, they'd say, I'm great. And it was almost like, I'm American, of course, I'm great. And I liked it. I liked this sort of inherent optimism and positivity. I connected to that, I related to that. But if you ask people now, as often as not, when you ask them how they are now, the first word will be busy. I'm busy, I'm so busy. I'm good, but I'm busy. I'm busy. There's whole flavors of busy. And so I do think that something has changed. It's not just in our own minds, something significant has changed. And even in those years, I think we've gone from being connected to hyper-connected. That's not a small change in the human condition. It shifts from a place where at some time we had information overload. Yes, we've had that for a long time, but we're now in a state of opinion overload. And so this is particularly the kind of busyness that I think is most potentially harmful, is where we're busy not because we just have a sense of internal mission that matters, a sense of contribution that we want to make in the world. It's that we're busy because other people are busy. We're doing things because other people are doing stuff. We see them on social media. Oh, that person's doing this thing. They're in that place. They're pursuing this idea. And so keeping up with the Joneses has been a deep part of human nature, I'm sure, forever. But when you add into it this hyper connection, this hyper comparison, then I think it gets to the point where people do feel pretty crazy all the time. People feel busy, but not productive. They feel stretched too thin at work or at home, but they don't feel a sense of accomplishment with it. They feel instead a constant sense of other people hijacking their agenda.
How do we say no to things? Because saying no is really uncomfortable. Saying yes feels good. When somebody says, hey, like, we'd love to grab coffee and pick your brain or just chat a little bit.
Right.
Saying yes leaves you feeling good, leaves them feeling good for the short term. In the long term, then, when it comes to that day when you have to meet up with them, you're like, oh, I'm already so busy. I don't have time to do this.
I actually think the first thing you have to accept is that we are saying no all the time. And everybody is. What we are not aware of is that we are saying no. Every time I check email, every time I randomly go on social media, every time you get pulled into some binging, watching something, you're saying no to stuff. And so, in a sense, we're quite good at saying no. We just don't use the words no. And so we have to, in a way, apply that same logic to more important projects, more important work, so that we just pause before saying, yeah, I'm going to do that. The first thing we need to learn about saying no is just within ourselves. If you believe that all things are approximately of the same value, then it's like you're just shoveling coal. You're in a coal mine. You're just trying to get out as much as possible, and your job is to get more and more of it. And the way to do it is just to push more and more, shovel more and more. Becoming an essentialist is like discovering that you've lived your whole life in a coal mine, and you suddenly go, it's not a coal mine. I'm in a diamond mine. Here I was thinking it was all about just how much to get out, and it's about finding those things that are really precious and valuable and important. And as soon as you suddenly wake up and you're in a diamond mine, your behavior shifts. And that's the same. This is the driver of becoming an essentialist, is to suddenly see, somebody else says, not me, it's difficult to overstate the unimportance of practically everything. The idea is get that new thinking in. And as soon as you start to look at the world through that lens, you find, yep, that is in fact far closer to reality. That most of the stuff that's going on is not vital. It's a trivial many versus the vital few. And I think it's not just one more thing to figure out what those vital few things are. It is the work of life. Figure out what they are, eliminate what they aren't, and build a system that protects and enables you to pursue those things that you've said are most important.
To get my full 1-hour uncut interview with Greg McKeown, go to patreon.com/Matt D'Avella and sign up at the exclusive videos tier. You'll also get access to extra videos every month, including behind the scenes, personal vlogs, and my private AMA. There's a link down in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.